as if that is their entire purpose. Like I said at the beginning, I would have no problem identifying also as a men's rights activist if they actually did something to help men.
If we did something to actually help men. Well, we're trying, but we are constantly shut down by feminists, as you just saw. We are constantly falsely associated with serial killers. We have lies constantly spread about us. And have a guess which group is doing that. Go on, have one. I'll give you one guess. What group is responsible for doing that?
In my experience, all they do is attack feminism. I don't know how the fuck that's supposed to help men.
And in my experience, all feminism does is blame all the world's woes on males and masculinity. And I don't know how that's meant to help men.
At least it seems as though, like, judging from the videos that I've seen of men's rights activists, they do criticize feminism because, at least, I'm not saying your type of feminism, I'm saying the ones that are the misandrists. They seem to criticize those misandrists who people call radical feminists because of those laws I just mentioned earlier. That's why they try to attack them, because they feel as though they're violating men's rights. However, unlike the feminist movement, the reason why they cannot really get anything done is because the lack of funding. Because just on the top of my head, like back in 2013, there was a group of feminists in Toronto which actually protests a meeting for men's rights. And it was like for a guy by the name of, I forgot the guy's name, but it was like a guy named Will Ferrell something. He actually was speaking about men's rights, and then feminists started protesting them. And there's other examples of which feminists protest men's rights conferences. So a lot of reasons why things seem to me, at least from the outside, does not get done is because a lot of feminists, not all feminists, but a lot of them, protest at these men's rights meetings.
Well, it's interesting because it would seem to me that I would also feel compelled to, say, protest a group that advocates against, I don't know, feminism or humanism or whatever.
Yeah, but we're not advocating against humanism. In fact, many MRAs are humanists as well as being MRAs. What we are advocating against is an ideology which insists that the only way to look at gender is through that ideology. This is no different than an fundamentalist Christian or Muslim insisting that you have to look at the world through the Bible or the Quran or whatever. Personally, I like a world where there's lots of different ideas, even wrong ones. And I no way would ban feminism if I had the power to do so. I'd be more than willing to let it exist alongside numerous other ideas. Feminism isn't like that, though. It pretty much insists that if you disagree with feminism, then you're an evil, woman-hating, misogynist scumbag, which isn't true. You're capable of being a gender egalitarian without being a feminist. You can advocate for equality of both genders without buying into feminist ideology. And once again, let me stress that not only am I a men's rights advocate, but I support the advocacy of women's rights, and I'm a gender egalitarian. These things are not mutually exclusive, but at the same time I reject feminist ideology.
You want to call it universal human rights? They focus entirely, they obfuscate the issue. They say, oh shit, yeah, women have it bad, but look how bad we have it. That's not the fucking point. If you want to have a conversation about men's rights, if that's all they did, I would be fine with it. I wouldn't say a bad word about them. But they focus their entire argument around trying to criticize or discredit feminism.
What you've got to realise is that feminism has held a monopoly on any discussion on gender for, well, at least 40 years now. So how exactly are we meant to tackle these issues without coming in contact with feminists and feminist ideology when they have the loudest voice, which pretty much shouts over anyone and everyone else? How are we not supposed to come in contact with feminists and feminist ideology when they insist that the only way to look at something is their way? And why exactly are feminists afraid of someone challenging their ideas or challenging their ideology? Surely if their ideology is as solid as they claim, they wouldn't be afraid of a fair scrutiny, now would they?
That's all they do. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and if you can provide me a few links, I guess that would be fine, but I still wouldn't be very much convinced, because they would be, in my experience and in the experience of, I don't know, anybody with a Google search engine, the exception to the rule.
Anyone with a Google search engine. Is that the same Google search engine that brings up so many articles about Elliot Rodger being a men's rights activist? Yeah, you gotta be really careful with your sources. You really have to go through them with a fine-toothed comb, and you have to check all their citations. And many times these citations are nothing more than someone's blog with their personal opinion. Well, we've come to the end of another video. I look forward to any response from the skeptical feminists. Hopefully it'll be something positive and something constructive. Time will tell. And I hope I've given them and maybe others on their side of the fence something to think about and consider. I don't expect them to convert and become MRAs, but I would hope that maybe they look upon the men's rights movement as something different than they have in the past. Maybe be a little bit more open-minded, and maybe to scrutinise some of the information which they've received about us in the past. And I also would hope that they might start to examine some of the people on their own side, some of their actions, some of their lies, because I think it's healthy that all groups are criticised fairly. Anyway, folks, that's it for now. So until next time, always remember, don't drink the poison Kool-Aid.
Yeah, but the thing is, whenever I hear someone use terms now like MRM or feminist, I don't even presume that I know what they mean by that. I don't presume that they know what they mean by that. They don't explain, because very often I don't think they know what the terms they're using even mean. For instance, misogyny. Misogyny has a very specific meaning. It's the pathological hatred of women. Now it means mildly disagreeing with anyone who happens to have a vagina.
I have no interest. No, where I live, if there is an MRM, I've never seen it or heard about it around in my area of the UK. But feminists everywhere. Oh,
well, yeah, I think MRM is almost entirely an online phenomena. I mean, there are associated with the Voice for Men and other groups, Karen Strom, and that actually do things in the real world. But for the most part, it's an internet phenomena, and I think the reason for that is because it wouldn't be allowed to exist in the real world. I mean, look at what happened when Warren Farrell tried to get Warren Farrell, the most conciliatory, calm human being, trying to give a talk about problems facing men and boys, and women blocked access to the speech and then eventually pulled the fire alarm.
Well, the same thing
literally
happened.
would not be allowed in the real world.
The same thing happened in Detroit.
No. Sorry, Guinness. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that the same thing happened at the Detroit conference, right across the river from where I live, and feminists shut down the whole entire event. It was ridiculous because there's no discourse. You can't talk to these people.
Where was that at?
Yeah, and the thing is, there's also another person who is very calm and rational. His name is David Shackleton, and I actually made a video about this called Feminism versus David Shackleton, where he is trying to have a calm and rational talk about certain issues affecting men and boys. And the talk was arranged by CAFE, the Canadian Association
for Equality.
Yes, equality. And he's probably one of the most mild-mannered people you can imagine. He's so incredibly tranquil. Just there's nothing about him that would make you think of him as an agitator in any way. And these fucking these fucking brats, like,
I saw that video.
Yeah, thank you. Good.
He was just giving introductory remarks about what they plan on doing with CAFE, what their goals were, and there were about 5 people in the middle row who started chanting, and you can expect that to happen anytime someone gets together to talk about anything that. I wouldn't quite say feminists disagree with. It's a particular kind of millennial social justice mindset. I mean, it is the entitled mindset of people who have never been challenged in their life, certainly never been challenged in school, have been told that they're special snowflakes, that the sun rises and sets out of their own asshole, and they cannot brook any disagreement whatsoever. And you can point to feminists, or especially the online version of it, as being the problem. But I think it's part of the larger problem, which has been described as the normalization of narcissism. That is, narcissism has become kind of the norm in our society because we have fed people this line of bullshit, not only through the schools, but through advertising. You turn on the TV, the advertisement is, you're number one, it's all about you, you deserve the best, blah, blah, blah. And there's no advertisement that says, you are not the warm center of the universe.